First of all, good afternoon. I'm glad you could make it. My name is Michael Day, but I use a pen name Kunu, Ku-N. Now it's Kunu. And Kunu means first boy in Ho-Chunk. I'm a Ho-Chunk. I'm a full-blooded Ho-Chunk. I grew up in Wisconsin Dells. And I'm one of 8 kids. I'm the 4th child, so I have 3 older sisters. So I know woman power. My mother was a very strong woman, but she encouraged me. I've been very lucky because you see, with the whole chunk, we got these names like there's a Kunu, Hena, Haga, Naki. There's a Liha, Inu, Liha, Sega, Fenoin, for the women. And we didn't get our formal names until we were 4 years old. That's because back then, in the old ancestral times, they knew that we would have a good chance of growing up and living then, if we could make it before. Sadly to say, it's like, I wouldn't have made it. I was born with hydrocephalitis in 1953. And they would have slept down in the woods if it wasn't for my mother. I'm one of the first children to have a brain stem. That drained the fluid in my brain. But one thing my mother always taught me, we got, I owned a business in Madison, Wisconsin. And she came to me one time and told me, I want to tell you something. My mother's very smart in business. So, great. What you can ask me? She said, just remember this, we fall just as far from small ideals as you do big ones. And know this, I'll always stand behind you. And she did. She encouraged my writing when I was little. Back when I was little, in 1st grade, they had the class, run, run, jump, 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 jump. And the letters were this big in this book they gave me. I went home and I said, Mom, what? I said, they got me in the dummy class. You got me in the dummy class? I said, yeah. You should see the letters. They're this big. And all the kids get letters like a regular book. So they must think I'm a dummy. She said, well, I said, so you're going to teach me how to read. And she did. And reading got me into writing. And for that, I'm grateful. I got to be able to express some things that I couldn't normally. And I could reach a larger audience. I'll be honest with you, I wrote this book, Everett LoneWolf, back in the 80s. And I put it away. I wrote it while I was taking the bus from San Rafael, to San Francisco, where I was working. I had a high pressure job, so when I was taking the bus, I could write. And I started writing, I wanted to write something that was different, in the sense that it was part of who I was, but also part of Native people. And over the years, I'm getting many questions from people about Native people, like people were asking, what's it like to live in a teepee? I said, well, I really don't know. I've camped in one, I've slept in one, but I've never lived in one. Could you tell me? And so there's a lot of questions, and I've met a lot of people that were 164th Cherokee and all this, but a lot of the questions people really didn't know us as Native people. They looked at Native people as being Plains Indians. We have woodland Indians, we have Southwestern Indians, we have Northwestern Indians, we have Southeastern Indians. Plains Indians, they're all different. Their cultures are different. And our traditions are different. But we still believe in the Creator. But we use different names. Like for the cultures, we call the Creator Tumbashila. For the Ho-Chunks, we call them Mountain Worldman. But they're all the same. So we don't differentiate. In our way of life, in the traditional way of life, is not based on understanding like we do in the Western world. Because we have to understand everything. It has to be written out and shown, right? That's it. See, that's real because it's written. In our way, if it was spoken and handed down, that's what was real. It's about acceptance. We accepted the teachings from our grandparents, our aunts and uncles. They didn't steer us. But see, the other part of Indians are the rural Indians, and we have urban Indians. Like in San Francisco alone, there are over 60,000 Indian people living in the Bay Area. That's larger than the most tribes. But a majority of them do not know any of the traditions. They don't know any of the old ways. All they know is like, I want to be like a white man. I gotta go out there and earn. I gotta go out there and get it any way I can. Forget about the old ways because those ways don't work anymore. But they do. They're real. The old ways are real. There are still people living them, not only in the Lakota way, but in the Ho-Chunk ways, the Osage ways, the Hopi ways, the Navajo ways. They still do that. They haven't changed. A lot of people still live in dirt floor homes, outdoor jobs. They got to pump water or they got to travel miles to get water. So a lot of people don't understand. Well, why don't you want to be like us? And they go, no, we want to be us. We want to be who we are. We want to be. We want to listen to the words of the Spirit speakers, not what was written down in the books, not what was written down in the creed and say, this is what's good for you now. To be like us. I want to be me. I want to be the way the Creator asked us to be. So in that sense, I wrote this book. I wrote this book to share with people about our new beginning, about the fact that you don't understand yourself as being a native person outside of your skin color. You can learn, no matter how old you are. If you're willing to learn, and if you're willing to follow, if we say, good orderly progression. So, first of all, I want to thank Ramshackle Press for helping me. I gave the manuscript to Eddie Nix. And I know Eddie, and Eddie goes, I like you, Michael, I'm going to read this. But it was in the summertime. I'm going to be real busy with books, but I will read it. And he read it. 3.5 months later, he called me up. Michael, I finished it. And I go, great. I said, so what'd you think? He goes, I think we should publish it. I said, wow. That got me. And I said, so like, no, but what did you think about the book? And he said, one word. I said, that's interesting. What was the word? And he said, heavy. And I said, well, coming from you, that means a lot to me, Eddie. Thank you. So we started a journey, and today we got the But I have to thank them. And I also want to thank them forward to the many generations of ancestors who poured tobacco and prayed for another way to connect with the Creator of all things. If it was not for your belief and faith, we would not have the beautiful sacred ceremonies we have now, but we use them in your honor. And I wrote, Everett LoneWolf is not meant as a tutorial for someone to practice the Lakota way of life. This book is a fictional account of an urban Indian now known as a Native American. Finding a spiritual identity with the Lakota way of life. The impact of Wounded Knee in 1973 and the Longest Walk in 1978 truly touched a note for Native people, giving a breath to the Native culture and traditions. There is a real beauty in the traditional way of life, and it is found through teachings not found in books, but by taking the time to learn who's doing it. That's how this way of life is preserved, by doing. Because by doing, you participated, just not your mind, but your whole body. Just by like learning how to even build a toy, you learn. And I mean, I learned as a little boy. I was around 8 years old. I went to what we call East, the Hebrews, with the whole house. And I went to the fire, and so we had a little fire out in front of the walk house. And it's the east, the west, there's a fire right here. I took the fire, it was some wood. And I just started throwing it in the fire. My grandma came up to me and whacked me. And she said, "Grandson, get that fork." And I took that fork. She said, "Get those logs that you just put in," and I pulled the logs. She said, "Look, see how that fire is? It follows the length of the log, not the bottom side, or dilly dally, you know? We gotta follow the line of that life of that tree. That's how you take care of the fire." We've been making this fire long before the white man was still living in caves in Europe. And now a little 8-year-old boy wants to change everything. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, so, you know, that's how I learned, is through doing. You know, and I got knocked on the head more than once. For the time, even 1991, I got knocked on the head by Grandma. Because I saw her and I said, "Grandma Nellie, why didn't you tell me back in '73 that this way of life is about loving kindness and compassion?" And she took me and she hit me with her cane on the head. And she said, "See, you finally got it." You finally got it. See, we can't tell you these things, grandson. You have to learn them. You have to feel them. You have to live them in order for that to come to you. That message, when it hits you, is real. You see, that realness is not found in the book. Whether it's called the Holy Book or a book of choice. See, it's by doing. It's by doing. And this is how this man learned as well, Everett LoneWolf. You know, I start out of him being in Chicago in 1968. So finally school was over, a long time coming in so short a time. The sounds of the city in the morning were the usual busy sounds. Hundreds of thousands of people moving to get here and there 5 days a week. It made one wonder at times what lay beyond the sprawl of Chicago. Life for the young ones was there and all through real. Ed Shortwell was buried 2 days ago, just another day in India. This is what one of Chicago's finest said. The asshole had to get drunk again. It wasn't like it just happened. The escapes, there were so many, the elements of the city prevailed. Ed tried to swim while drunk from one pier to the next by Harbor Inlet. He made one side, but never quite made it the quarter of the way back. People were laughing, their yellow teeth missing, their long hair dirty and stringy, waving brown paper bags, weaving and bobbing their heads in intoxication. It was then that Ed sank. Everyone laughed and pointed. He didn't come back up. Everett had been getting high with Jacob last. When Ed Wolf didn't come back up, both ran to the crowd and Jacob dove into Lake Michigan. Everett waited. Peter Yazzie, with a breath that made one gag and the wine he drank, he said, "The little shit is just fooling." There were other drunken comments from the motley bunch. "Get help," Everett remembered. "Hurry." Everett ran to the phone, and he saw patrolling blue and white. He yelled, they stopped. And then he waited. By the time they came over, the drunken crew left. When it was over, Ed Shortwell's body was found another almost an hour and a half after he would soak. You know, this occurrence happened when I was down living in Chicago. Because people wanted to escape. They just felt they couldn't fit in. Not fitting in made them feel terrible. And the only relief they have is that I can get it on. That's the only life they had. You know, and in that time, this young man, Everett LoneWolf, asked people, what does it mean to be an Indian? What does that pipe mean? What are spectrums? What makes it cheap? And I told them, the people they asked, a lot of them said, you don't have the right to ask us such questions. You know, who are you to want to learn? And I say I read in the book, little did he understand that the people they asked, they themselves didn't know. Because they didn't have that upbringing. I mean, I was very lucky myself because I grew up in a traditional family. And I got to see how that was, not only within my family, my nuclear family, but also my aunts and uncles, my other grandmas and grandpas. Everyone lived that way. We all got together. We all was like, there was a homogenous spiritual adventure. and when we got together, it was for the tribe. It was for our clan. It was for this person. We all went together. We didn't go alone. We were together. You see, in city life, Everett didn't feel that. He didn't have that togetherness. The only thing togetherness he had was the family he made from a short work from Jacob. This is something he could rely on. And I wrote this in the book. But what happened was eventually he left. He didn't leave, and he went to join the service to get out. And a lot of people in these countries, that's what they did, to get away. They joined the service. And his buddy was becoming a Marine, so he decided, I'll be a Marine medic. I can help the people. That'd be good. So he went down to the Marine office, and they found out he couldn't be a medic because Marines don't have medics. That is, the medics they have are from the Navy. So he joined the Navy and became a medic. And back then, because of the Vietnam War, he got to serve in the same platoon that his friend Jacob did. And he served as a medic. So they were together, and something happened along the way where Everett came back by himself. And he wanted to know, why me? Why did I live? My friend didn't. He never really stuck with it. Today we call it PTSD. But back in the early 70s, people still didn't know. They said, get over it. It happened. And it's hard to get rid of that. To erase that. We just can't erase that. So how do you live with it? Well, he went back to Vietnam, fought, came back. After Vietnam, ran around, tried drinking, tried drugging, didn't really get rid of it, so he quit, you know. So one day he went down to this the museum in Chicago, and he met a man there. It was an Indian guy. He long hair, good shirt on. I'll read it to you. As soon as I find it, I pulled a bookmark up. is that smoking his cigarette and looking out the window one day, Everett decided to go to the Field Museum. It was here that his life changed. There was a slightly built, average height Indian at the museum. His hair was long and braided with red cloth, and he wore a calico shirt and leather vest. On his neck, he wore a medallion made of twill, and above it, a golden eagle feather. He looked right through me, Everett remembered later. He nodded and said, "Oh, my name is Runsford." He extended his hands for a shake while looking in Everett's eyes. "I'm from South Dakota, and I'm going to give a talk tonight at the Indian Center." Runsford asked his name and if he lived in the city. They'll be startled at a bite. "See much in your eyes," Runsford put his forefinger to his chin. "I think I'm to meet you here, so here I am. I'm Everett LoneWolf. I've lived here most of my life." Everett just stared at this man, Runsford. Although he was larger than this man, there was a strength in this man that made him question himself. It was something that he had forgotten about himself and his identity. Somehow this man was to help him. "Your search is over, LoneWolf. I like your name," Runsford smiled. "Listen, are you doing anything that is important? If not, join me. Come with me. We have things to talk about, and we need Indian bodies. If there's a time you desire to leave, you can." It'd been a while since Everett was at the Indian Center on Ashland. They went together. There were others with Runsford waiting for him and Everett to join them. There was a good-sized crowd at the Indian Center when they arrived, as they came to hear this man Runsford. He was not aged, but the knowledge he had of the traditional ways was real and living in him. This is what people wanted and needed to see and hear for themselves. People strained to get near Runsford. It made Everett think, why did you choose me? "Don't let what others think of me cloud whatever I say. It's important," Runsford told him as he began his talk. Runsford carried an oblong deerskin bag in a very way, like he was carrying a baby. He waited and looked all about the crowd and reached into the bag and brought out a braid of sweetgrass. He lit the end with a wooden match and walked clockwise around the room, waving its scent around. He stopped by LoneWolf, made a full circle, and waved in front of himself as the bathed in smoke. Then he stood perfectly still and looked at the others as they quieted. He spoke. "You have heard of Wounded Knee, South Dakota. Maybe you have, but you will. For years, the Indians of America have been put down in many ways. Indian people have been dying fast and slow deaths without much care. Now things are going to change. We as a people should be heard. No more quiet will we remain quiet, giving no voice, no more quietness. There's a pride in who you are as an Indian people. It is not demeaning as others would want you to believe in. Now is the time to get together. There's no more time to act apart. We as Indians have not gotten anywhere, nor will we ever. This does not mean for us to act stupidly or with complete anger. We can do much without violence. Now is the time for us to communicate our griefs and our angers. We will no longer just be forgotten about the frozen dead bodies of our people who died in the cold and the stupor of anger, of frustration, and of hopelessness. We can communicate to the world as well as to be in control of the message we give out. This is a time for us to be effective, to show the sorrows of what exists in the Indian world now. Someone asked, how do we do this? Runsford paused. How? With this the pipe, the translator from the Creator, the voice of our spirit, given to us by Wonka Tonka, through the Buffalo Calf Pipe woman. We are not a directionless people. We have been given direction from the long past by our ancestors and the spirits. Now is the time to awaken us. that part of us, Indian. We are one people, and we have just begun to regain our voice. We as a people can help the non-Indian understand. No surprise. Where is this to begin? It is Wounded Knee, South Dakota, and it's here where you may now begin to help with change needed for all people. So now is the time to share the real meaning of the pipe together. Everett watched as others did. It made him cry inside. He was drawn into the ceremony and the songs Runsford sang while preparing and loading the pipe. It was as if he and Runsford were the only people present at the pipe. He was awed by Runsford, and Runsford just smiled as he turned his attention to Everett. The other Indian people with Runsford continued to talk. Runsford motioned for Everett to follow him. It's just wooden stone, Lord, just wooden stone. It's what one does with the two which makes all the difference. So I ask you again, will you come with me? Everett nodded yes. Well then, let's get your bill on. There's much to be done. Little did he know of the experience they would share, the revitalization of the Indian spiritual movement they really need. You know? A lot of people that happened in the 70s. All that. I mean, a lot of you remember what happened back then. And that energy that we had the feeling that we could change something. And we did. We tried. We tried. All of us tried. And we still try today. We look about us and what can we really do? Well, there are things that we can do, you know, and we, for us Native people, we still have that pipe. We still share that pipe. We're the veterans of all people. People tell me that's a peace pipe. You know, you smoke that peace pipe, you put pot in that pipe, you don't know that. And I don't know where you got that, but you know, it's not from us, you know, because we don't smoke pot through the pipe. You know, it's sacred. The pipe is sacred. And in the bowl is bread to remind us of all the other people here on Mother Earth. So it's good. The bowl is round to remind us of the universe. Stem is straight, but it reminds us of all that grows on Mother Earth. The water people, the sky people, those that live on the ground, those that live below the ground, those that live in the water. They're all represented in that stem. When they come together, they bring earth and sky together. Say, if you bring heaven on earth.
Mike, can you speak into the microphone, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
When you bring them together, you bring heaven on earth. And when you load that pipe, you first go to the west and you ask Creator to come in, the essence of Creator. You ask power of the west, the north, the east, the south, the pathway of the future, Mother Earth. Didn't go around for all the people that are here. Now I prayers, we pray for you now. And you hold the prayer of all those things in your hand. You know, the euphemism that people use to say this person is a pipe carrier. Well, in our way of life, I've never carried a pipe. I take care of one for the people. It's pretty humorous to think I can carry all the prayers of all the people and all the things on Mother Earth. So we do it for the people. We take care of that pipe for the people. So when people are in need, or people are in trouble, and they come to us and ask them, we can smoke that pipe together. And when we smoke it, we draw all those energies that I just talked about putting in that bowl. That's what we bring into our bodies. Bring that into our bodies. And it said, And I was told by the old people it takes 2 days, all that energy to go throughout your body. Have you ever heard of walking life in a conscious manner? Well, in that way, the old people told us to walk life in a conscious manner, knowing that we hold all that essence within us after that pipe ceremony. That we too carried that. And we should walk. We carried also our own prayers. So be very gentle, very careful, because words create, actions create. So let's use good actions. Be conscious about how you're moving. Be conscious how you're thinking. You see, it's very easy to live a good life when you believe in this way. When you know this way is part of who you are. And you're following good, orderly directions given to us by the Creator, through the spirits. See? So this is what we do when we have the pipe ceremony. It's just not a matter. Go ahead.
I have a friend that is in an Indian congregation in Hawaii, and she has taught me that tobacco is very sacred,
Yes.
but it doesn't have a particular meaning. Tobacco itself.
But think about this. When we have the tobacco and when we smoke the pipe, we call it frittata. It's the red willow bark. That's what we actually smoke. That's what we add to tobacco. Well, we use tobacco today, but see, the essence of the tobacco, when you transform it, see, it takes like a medicine person or a person, a spiritual being to bless that tobacco. You just don't take it back of the back and do this. We don't do that. We have someone that's practiced and knows how what they're doing. And they can bring that energy and they put that energy into that tobacco. Okay? So when you're smoking, you have the energy of God. You have the energy of the directions, past, present, future, Mother Earth, all the things that are going on within your mind, your heart, your spirit, go into that, as well as for the prayers of all the people that you know are hurting, or even know you are hurting. You don't even have to know their names. And just put it into it. Because the spirits know. Spirits know. And they know from your heart and from the spirit of yourself that they'll go to them. See? So when you smoke in that, it comes in you, but when you blow it out, where's the tobacco go? Yes, it goes up. It goes up to the Creator. It doesn't go down, but it goes up. See, it dissipates. You say the eagles carry it. You carry it because it's Creator. But it goes up. See, that's the essence. See, it's not abused either. We don't have to have pipe ceremony every time I feel some a little bit anxiety. Yeah. Or after sex. No. Stroking. But see, it's used in a sacred manner. It's used in a way when we really know that we want to help. And you can transform that regular bag of bugle, or top, or any other tobacco, as long as you have that belief and that faith in that belief. You can transform it, and it can be used in a good way. I mean, hotels screw their own tobacco. It's black. It's actually black after it's fried. It's really hard. You can break it up. And I remember as a little boy, when we would go, when the first snow would come, we would go to my grandpa's, or the first thunder, and the last, we'd go to my grandpa's, and George Minor, and all the grandkids and elders and mom and dad, and you know, we all form a big circle at grandpa's house. You come out and then you go in, and I went in with them one time, and I watched how we went down and got on his floor, and got tobacco. But the way he moved, and the way he treated that tobacco, I knew it was sacred. It wasn't something that was just like willy-nilly. And he brought it out, and he would give us each a little bit in our left hand. Even the babies, even as babies, we're giving it back. You can say a prayer. Give thanks for that first snow, or for that first thunder and lightning. And ask them to help us become better people and watch over us. And then at the end of this ceremony, we all take it for it. See? So I grew up that way. Like Navajos, they use corn pop. They use that. See, every nation has its sacred ways. We use tobacco in that way. You know, and it wasn't for a cigarette or anything of that nature. It's meant for spiritual reasons. It was because that plant was getting closer to the Creator. See, that's something Everett didn't know about. The people he talked with when he was growing up didn't know about. See, and a lot of people don't know. And that's why I wrote the book. And I wrote about it going to movie. The reason I also write about what I know about what he did because I was actually there. I was there for the meeting. I wanted to write a little bit about it, but not completely about what I saw. It's not nice. It's scary. And some of you have been in war, I know what you mean. I didn't go to Vietnam, but I was able to move to Vietnam. They were shooting at us 5 rounds at night. You hear you pop, pop, pop. Next thing you know, the light would be just like with daylight, they started shooting machine gun fire at you. They wanted to kill you. And all we were doing was we were carrying in some medical supplies, food, whatever we could carry, ammunition, and we start running down the hill. Zigzag. But they couldn't get a good beat on us. I remember one time stopping because this guy was just like frozen, he got freaked out. And I stopped him and I blocked him. I said, "Guy, follow me." But, you know, I mean, I've never been in the armed services, but I've been in the Indian Army. I was asked by a person in American Indian group called Owls. Is his last name. He's my uncle. He was one of the founding members of the A movement. And he said, over the years, I gave him money to help him with the Trail of Tears and other things that they were doing. And I would help them out because I knew things like that cost money, and I was working. I could give them money. But he said, this time we need Indian bodies. And he said, the people out in South Dakota have asked for help. And you come. Well, at that time, my boss was in the 82nd Airborne, and he was in Vietnam, and he was on the road. And he said, well, if you can find someone to manage the store, go ahead, go. So I did, and I went out there. And that changed my life, just like Everett's. I met a medicine man. His name was Henry Croder. And he changed my life. You know, when I met him, I never knew him as a medicine man. I just knew him, a world famous medicine man. I just knew him as this man that was really helping a lot of people, and we should help him. And he was doing ceremony, I should help him in ceremonies because that's the way it was taught. And I liked how he prayed. I liked what was going on. I never followed him. In fact, first time when I was out there, it was the first time we ever did a feast inside a teepee. My tribe came out, my clan, I'm a member of the bird clan. We came out and he brought up the medicine bundle. And they gave me part of the medicine bundle to protect myself while I was up there. And I had Grandpa sit, and I told him where to sit because they told me, and then I sang the songs with him, and we had a feast. And that was different. But I like Grandpa. And before Wounded Knee ended, I noticed in the end, he asked me, you know, grandson, do you want to learn about our way of life? And I said, yes. He said, but I'm going to ask you this. I said, what's that? Why do you want to learn our way of life? Because your way of life is much older than ours. You come from an old people. And I said, I liked how you pray. And he said, good. Come back and let's start praying. So I did it. And that's how I learned about the way of life. Just like this man, he learned that way too. See, so there's a little bit of me in Everett, but there's a little bit of all of us in Everett. Because we all want to learn. We all want to find that path, that way, that makes us feel better about who we are as people. That makes us feel that we can connect. That makes us feel that we're not helpless in this world. That there's a real spirit, there is a path that we can follow that's real, that's not made up, that doesn't ask you for money in order to exist. That is just the way of life. See, that's the difference. Ever thought he may have involved in real life like a religion? But he found a way of life instead. See? And the mass is a native person. What's your religion? They go, we don't have a religion. We have a way of life. How we live is how we are. We live by what the Creator asks us to do. We even while I'm driving a cab, I can see what I have. I can pray while I'm driving a cab too. Or people up when they're really sick, and you know they are, and you just put your hand on them and say a little prayer for them. And just give them a little energy, a little positive energy. And just say, I tell them, as my big friend Big Rob would say, Big Rob is like this big. And every time you talk to you, at the end of the talk, he goes, I want to let you know something. And go aside and goes, know you're loved. I tell people when I see them, they're telling them, as Big Rob would say, know you're loved. You know, and the same goes out to you, know you're loved. You know, because in a way, I wrote each of these stories that are in here are about how we live life and we see things. Sometimes in life, there's a moment where everything changes for us. We know it's real. It's like going to a meeting and really feeling the meeting, spirit that meeting, and knowing it's feeling, and knowing it's real. But at the same time, in the 70s, and even yet today, the greatest danger to our society is to unite the us within the soul. To unite the us within us all. Not because of political gain, not because of political party, not because I'm black or white or brown, but just for all of us to come together. And I'll tell you a story, and this is true. So my grandfather, when he was little, I was little, he grew corn. Indian corn, multicolored corn. And he was harvesting it in the fall. And I went to go help him. And I had a basket there, drug the basket down there, and filled them, and drug the basket back, and I was helping him shuck it. You know, shucking with him. And then he grabbed one of the shucks, corn, and he said, what is Mauna saying, grandson? And, oh boy. That corn is really oh. I'm being tested. There's no doubt about it. And finally he said, I know. And he goes, what? I said, everything's beautiful. And Grandpa said, wow, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way. But here, I want to show you something. Look at this. Look at that corn. There's a white one. There's a red one. There's a yellow one. There's a black one. See how some of you, even both colors, see how they are? See, Mauna was telling us long before all those colors came together, that one day we would be together here. And today we're living. So I want to tell you something. Everyone said, Choka. Choka means grandpa. Choka. And Choka said, I haven't lived very well with all these colors. I'm going to ask if you can. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And my grandpa put his hand out to me like that. He said, let's shake on it. And back when I was a little boy, if someone put their hand out for you to shake, when that meant something. It meant to me that I was a man. It meant to me that I had to live up to what I just promised my grandpa. And he shook it. He gave me hand with it. And today I still try to live that way. Because I don't see any color, I just see human beings. And I've been blessed. In 1991, I became a medicine man. And when the spirits came to me, they didn't tell me just to work with the red man. They said help the people. So over the years, I don't care what color you are, as long as you come and honor the ways that we share together, I'll work with you. I'll work with you. That's all I ask. And all I ask for is some tobacco. And I ask that when I'm doing the healing for the people that are coming, would you feed them? That's all I ask. See, because the Creator said help the people. He said you don't have to make a living off them. You know, because the Creator gave me some legs and gave me some feet and arms and a head to think with. You know, he said I could make a living. He didn't say I should make a living off what he's teaching me to help the people. So this is what this man also lived in his story of life. And if you receive the book, you'll see how he did it. And it's possible for all of us to do it, to live a good way of life this way. Sometimes we need just that a little impetus, you know. Hopefully today we'll find that together. This man, Everett LoneWolf. And I thought of that one. So we talked about how things can change us. Whenever it was at the meeting, he was making a pipe ceremony was talked about Lordy. He heard a song. He heard a song. He heard a song as he was preparing the pipe, as we call it pipe loading song. Mixuya o pahio Chalugi Dakuya Chetu Chanu Oshe Yo Dakete Mixuya o pahio Chalugi Dakuya Chetu That's what he felt when the man was putting that pipe and getting ready with the pipe show. See how that can change you? See how you know you can feel that that's for you? That could be a way that you should know about to make you feel whole. Or you ever remember the time that you had an experience where you felt over people? That you weren't facing all the things that you have, the illnesses that we had. But you felt that ray, that insightfulness. It touches your feelings, it touches your heart, your mind, and your spirit around you. And in our way, we say, good, you balanced. Good, you balanced. So let's be balanced. Living in this world today, you know. Political systems are not going to do it for us, you know. We have each other. We can be balanced. And there's a way for us to be balanced. It just doesn't have to be the Lakota way of life. But as we go deeper into your own spiritual world, you'll find that balance is there. Find your balance. No one way is better than the other. They're all the same. But it's just what speaks to you. Because the Buddhists have a good way of life, you know. Even some of the Muslims I know, they have a good way of life. They don't believe in what they see out there. And I've met some really good Christians. They're real Christians, you know. They aren't judgmental. They're just there. So I want to thank you.
Are you open to questions?
Sure. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
I guess if you don't mind, I can start here. If there was one takeaway for either when you were writing this book or when you finished for the whole experience, what would you name that to be?
Well, Eddie kind of asked me that when I first talked about the book, and for me, it was just like, I want something that people will read on the bus, in the subway, or in the bathroom, or in a football game, or in a soccer game. You know, just something for people to read. Sometimes you want to read a story over again. That's all. I didn't have high aspirations, and Eddie went, well, we can deal with that. Any other questions? Pardon?
Do they eat stew and rice?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they still do. They still do. See, myself, I don't eat them. I don't eat venison, and I don't eat buffalo. It's in the Lakota way of life, I'm a medicine person. And on my altar, I have buffalo and I have deer. And they help me help the people. So I made an agreement with them. I wouldn't eat any of their relatives. And they told me when I was becoming a medicine man that I was going to miss the things that were really tough out that I was going to have to give up. And I tell you, I know what it means because I just love venison and I just love buffalo. But I don't eat it. I do eat it sometimes if I go to a wake feast, but I'll just take a little strip. You know, give it to the person that passed for the strip. That's it. But yeah, I mean, there's still like people make what we call spirit bowls, and sometimes to give thanks to the spirits to help them, they will cook like venison just because they feel the spirits would like their venison. They'll cook that venison just for the spirits. Give it to them. They play. So it's real. We still do things like that. In fact, we did it last night. Is there anything else? I just want to let you know too that I'll sit right here. If you'd like to sign copy, I'll sign your copy for you. And I want to thank the library and the elder group for allowing us to be here today. And I really do hope you can follow the journey, not only of Everett, but your own personal journey. Let's enhance that. Let's enhance that. That's, this is like a little sprinkling, you know? Put a little sugar on your oatmeal. Oatmeal of life. But that's, I'm like, thank you.
Like we said, he's gonna have over at that table. We've got some helpers over there. If you are interested in purchasing a book directly from the author, he's also gonna sign if you're interested. Otherwise, thank you all for making it out this way today. I know we ended up getting a little cramped here, but that's just amazing. It's a good reason. So thank you and drive safe and walk safe and all that stuff. So, good afternoon.
Oh, have you? Well, hey, I have some, and actually, a friend of mine mentioned it, but they saw it, hey, who knows? Wow. Glad I made this. Yeah. Before they let me win, I go home from my hospital. I've never been to a hospital, but it was like a heart connection. I asked about scares and doctor listening. They were like 5'10". People of them downstairs right now. So doctor was okay, let me see. Yeah, it's been twice I went downstairs. It was really exciting. But that was the first time. Once they recuperate from it, it seems like it could be better in other ways. I don't know, having a shift, it feels like it's like it needs to come apart and get back together in a different way. Yeah. I've been meaning to send out an email about to an center birthdays coming up. Oh, all right. Yeah. Let's go.
Sorry, y'all, you don't need your